Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must decide whether it is better to be loved than feared. He concluded that fear is more reliable because love depends on the goodwill of others, while fear depends only on the ruler's own actions. This happens to be, almost word for word, the operating principle behind one of the most common and least visible forms of relationship abuse there is. It's called financial abuse. 99% of abusive relationships include it, and Machiavelli, for centuries before anyone gave a clinical name, already understood exactly why it works. In this video, I'm using Machiavelli's own framework: fear over love, the appearance of virtue, the manufacturing of dependency, as a lens to break down exactly how financial abuse operates, not to teach you the tactic, to make sure you can spot it the moment it starts, in your own life or someone else's, and to show you exactly why Just Leave fundamentally misunderstands what's actually happening. The clinical picture is well documented. The DSM-5 TR includes financial restriction as a component of intimate partner violence. Why I want to add to that clinical picture is a strategic one, because Machiavelli wrote the actual playbook for engineering dependency 500 years before psychologists gave a name. Stay with me for the third tactic. Machiavelli has a specific, chilling piece of advice about timing, about exactly when a ruler should act most decisively against a threat. It maps almost perfectly onto the single most dangerous moment in this entire pattern: the moment someone tries to leave. Here's the reframe for this whole video. Machiavelli's core argument in The Prince isn't that cruelty is good. It's that a ruler who wants to hold power must understand exactly how dependency is built and maintained, because a subject who needs you can't leave you. Every tactic in this video runs on that exact logic. Not cruelty for its own sake. Dependency engineered on purpose, so that leaving stops being a real option. Let's start where Machiavelli himself would start, with the appearance of virtue. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler need not have all the good qualities, but it is very necessary to appear to have them. Nowhere is that truer than at the entry point of financial abuse, which almost never announces itself as control. It announces itself as generosity. You're stressed about money. Let me just handle the budgeting. I'm better with numbers. On the surface, this looks like simple partnership, the same way one partner might handle cooking while the other handles repairs. The shift happens exactly the way Machiavelli describes power consolidating, gradually, and through means that never look, at any single step, like a seizure of power. I'll handle the budgeting becomes you don't need to know the balance, becomes you don't have access at all. Each step looks, in isolation, like a reasonable continuation of the one before it. That's not an accident. That's the appearance of virtue, doing exactly the job Machiavelli described it doing. Consider a relationship where one partner takes over managing the finances, framed entirely as reducing stress for the other. Over time, they begin requiring receipts for personal spending, questioning small purchases, and eventually moving the other partner's paycheck into an account only they can access. The partner without access rarely identifies a single moment where control was seized, because, exactly as Machiavelli would predict, it never looked like a seizure. It looked like help all the way down. Here's the actual protective marker, stripped of Machiavelli's cynicism. Healthy financial partnership is transparent in both directions and can be reversed by either partner without conflict. If "let me handle this" can only ever move in one direction and can't be questioned without an argument, that asymmetry, not the division of labor itself, is the signal. Machiavelli's most infamous line deserves its full context. He argued fear is a more reliable foundation for control than love, because love relies on the other person's continued goodwill, while fear relies only on consequences you control directly. Applied here, this explains precisely why financial tactics escalate from simple oversight into active sabotage, discouraging a partner from working, damaging their credit, hiding financial information, or, in documented severe cases, relocating a household specifically to limit the other partner's job prospects. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately as consolidation of power through removal of alternatives. It isn't really about the money changing hands. It's about ensuring the other person has nowhere else to turn, no independent income, no intact credit, no recent employment history, so that the relationship's continuation depends on necessity, not choice. Machiavelli called this kind of engineer necessity one of a ruler's most reliable tools. In a relationship, it has a different name. It's still the same tool. Consider a partner gradually discouraged from returning to work after having a child, framed as a mutual childcare decision, who later finds their name absent from the primary accounts, their resume gapped, and every major financial decision controlled by the other. Years later, even once the relationship has become unhealthy in every other respect, leaving requires solving housing, income, and childcare all at once, with no independent financial history to draw on. This was never a side effect. Machiavelli would call the entire strategy executed patiently, the clearest distinguishing marker, stripped of the Machiavellian frame entirely. Someone genuinely struggling with money is usually transparent about it and welcomes joint problem solving. Deliberate secrecy and deliberate denial of access are not financial struggle. They're the specific tools Machiavelli described. Engineered, not accidental. So far, the appearance of virtue opens the door, and fear-based dependency, not love, is what actually holds it shut. Part 3 is where Machiavelli's advice on timing becomes almost uncomfortably precise. Machiavelli wrote that injuries ought to be done all at one time, delivered decisively at the moment they're needed, because a threat dealt with gradually only gives the other side time to prepare a response. Applied to financial abuse, this describes, almost exactly, one of the most well-documented and counterintuitive features of the pattern. Tactics frequently escalate sharply not throughout the relationship, but specifically at the moment a partner attempts or even signals intent to leave. Draining shared accounts, running up joint debt, hiding assets, pursuing prolonged, expensive legal proceedings around divorce or custody. These don't arrive gradually. They arrive all at once, at exactly the moment they're needed to function as a deterrent, which is precisely the Machiavellian logic of decisive, well-timed action applied to keeping someone trapped rather than seizing a throne. Consider someone who finally decides to leave, only to discover joint credit cards maxed out in the preceding weeks, a joint account emptied, and an unusually aggressive custody dispute already underway, despite no prior indication of that level of conflict. This is not coincidence. It is Machiavellian timing, executed against a partner instead of rival. The exit itself triggers the most severe tactics of the entire relationship, because the exit is the exact moment dependency was built to prevent. If you are currently planning to leave a relationship like this, the practical response of Machiavellian timing is your own version of it. Quiet, advanced preparation, securing documents, independent funds, and support from a domestic violence advocate before any intention to leave becomes visible. Machiavelli's own advice about acting decisively, redirected entirely toward your own safety, is the actual counter here. This is a part of the video I want you to take most seriously. If you recognize this exact pattern happening around you right now, preparation matters as much as the decision itself. Machiavelli spent considerable time on how a ruler fortifies a position so thoroughly that it becomes difficult to challenge, regardless of how unpopular the ruler becomes. Financial abuse builds exactly this kind of fortress, not around a throne, but around a person's ability to leave. That's why it's consistently cited as one of the primary practical reasons people remain in relationships they've already recognized emotionally as unhealthy. Outside observers frequently misread this as a failure of willpower. Machiavelli would recognize it immediately as something else entirely, a correctly perceived, accurately assessed fortress, built deliberately over months or years, that cannot be walked out of simply by wanting to leave badly enough. Consider a friend, frustrated, repeatedly advising someone to just leave already, advice that ignores the absence of an accessible bank account, a recent employment history, or anywhere go that doesn't itself require money currently out of reach. The fortress Machiavelli describes isn't emotional. It's structural, and it has to be dismantled the same way, piece by piece, usually without side support. Here is where this video departs from Machiavelli entirely, because everything up to now has been diagnosis, not endorsement. Advocates working directly with survivors of this pattern recommend concrete, quiet, gradual steps. Opening an account the other partner can't access, even with small amounts. Keeping copies of key documents somewhere separate and secure. Connecting with a domestic violence advocate or hotline to build a full, situation-specific safety and financial plan. For anyone supporting a friend or a family member in this position, the most useful shift is moving from "why don't you just leave" to "what would you need to leave safely?" A question that treats the fortress as real, rather than treating the person trapped inside it as simply unmotivated. Advocates frequently describe the exact moment this shift changes everything. When a client is asked not "why haven't you left," but "what's actually stopping you practically right now," and is met with a concrete plan instead of judgment. That single shift, more than any individual piece of advice, is often what moves someone from feeling trapped to recognizing that leaving is genuinely possible. Machiavelli wrote The Prince as a manual for acquiring and holding power, and made no claims about virtue along the way. He was simply describing, with total clarity, how power actually operates in practice. That same unflinching clarity is exactly what makes his framework useful here, not as instruction, but as recognition. Financial abuse works because it wears the appearance of ordinary responsibility, relies on manufactured necessity rather than love, and strikes hardest at exactly the moment someone tries to leave. Understood this way, it stops looking like an unfortunate pattern that just happens in some relationships and starts looking like what it actually is: a strategy executed with real precision, whether or not the person executing it would ever describe it in those terms. Recognizing the strategy is not the same as assuming everyone who manages household finances is secretly running a Machiavellian playbook. Most aren't. The distinguishing factor in every documented case is secrecy, control, and engineered dependency, sustained deliberately over time. If any part of this sounded like your own relationship or someone you care about, please know this is significantly more common than is discussed, and there are advocates whose entire job is helping people dismantle exactly this kind of fortress. You don't have to do it alone. Machiavelli understood power with total clarity and total indifference to whether it was used well. Understanding the same mechanism with the opposite intention, recognition instead of exploitation, might be the most useful thing this video can give you. Subscribe for more breakdowns like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.